Hey, how you guys doing? It's the producer from Brothers Comics. Welcome to the Marvel Hacks. Just Big Hutch and I today, we wanted to kind of give, kind of an RIP to an old school friend of ours, Arron Newberry. He passed away this past week, and we kind of wanted to give a shout out to him and kind of talk some memories about Arron. He was a blurred of all blurs, for sure. And we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit. We wanted to, first, kind of state out too, it's been a while since we, talked to him. He is like a Facebook friend or whatever, and I kind of like to say this sometimes you have friends of certain seasons. People that get put into your life for a certain season and a certain reason, and even though that person might not be in your life anymore, you still remember the memories that you have of that particular person. And so, Arron was definitely that person for us. And as Hutch and I will get into this, it became such a season there as we've been talking about this for the last few days. I'm not even sure how he wound up in our circle there for those many years. So Hutch, can you think about it? I know he was Rollins, David Rollins, and shouts out David Rollins. I know it was Dave's cousin. So I'm assuming that's how he kind of wound up hanging out
Yeah, so I think they are cousins. I, we all might be cousins
us. Yeah,
for
it might
the
be
way
black people
things got
cousins.
mixed
Right.
up there. But
Mm.
but yeah, I think him and Mr. Dave Rollins were cousins. I don't remember the first time I met Mr. Newberry. I just kind of he was just showed up one time,
Right. Yeah.
and I was
For
like,
sure.
okay, all right. Big gigantic man with a he had a fair like for a gigantic person. I mean, he's like at least 5'11", 6 foot something maybe. He had a soft voice, and he was a Virgo, I believe. So yeah, we kind of hit it off when I Kyrie first met him, and he just kind of was around.
Yeah, and as like I said, I'm trying to even put a time frame on this. I'm still in high school for sure, which means that you're not. So that means this is summers, you think? Or was he hanging with us like early, those mid 80s before? Like it's hard to remember.
It is hard to remember. I maybe I was still in maybe I was still in high school. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I met him, that that we're not gonna do we're gonna do comic books. That first appearance of somebody episode, I don't know.
Right.
And right, there's no and before Facebook and taking pictures of everything and everywhere and everybody,
Right. Yeah.
we didn't do that, especially at
Yeah.
other
It's
men.
yeah.
So I don't know. I'm gonna say
Okay.
80 something, late 80. I'm still in high school, maybe, but I don't think we hung out till or started doing stuff till after I left high school for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's, shouts out Belmont class of 88. And so that's a year before me, 2 years after you. So he had to have been around, shouts out Westwood too. He's a Westwood person with Residence Park people, general rivalry, but it's all good and all love. But once he once he was around though, I mean, he's in the fold like it's nothing. All the stuff that we were into, he was into, and then some. And we'll start off with the video games. We've been telling these stories, since we heard he passed. Like he was like possibly the greatest game player of all time. Like if all this esports stuff was around back then, he would have been a forerunner and on leading teams and stuff.
If there would have been a dating team of I mean I've played video games with people. Now I play people all over the world if you count the whatever in the internet. But before the internet, you played with your local folks, and the man had an ability that I cannot, I can't mess, I can't fuck with. I
Yeah,
couldn't. I'm
man.
not even close. I
Yeah.
couldn't do. I mean I thought I knew something. I thought I could Atari Vanguard or Defender and all that stuff. Actually,
Yes.
but he didn't come around officially till around Nintendo.
Yeah.
And And like
Yes.
there were several games that I never saw the ending of until he played them.
Yeah, we could go through the list here. But go ahead. Like I know that All-Star Wrestling game, like
Man,
and we'll talk wrestling later with him in a minute, but that All-Star Wrestling game, he was amazing.
unstoppable,
Yeah.
unfucking stoppable. He would take any character. I mean, I ain't seen that game in 30 something years. I mean, I ain't
Yeah.
played it in 30 something years. But with Piranha, Ken
Yeah.
Karn, Fighter Hayabusa,
Yeah, it
uh,
didn't matter.
right, it didn't matter. And another specialty of his was he would also talk shit when he was whooping
Mad
your
shit.
ass.
Yes, he
Well,
was.
right, I'm gonna pick you up and then I'm gonna bite you with Piranha with the face,
Yeah.
and then
Calling his shots.
right, he'd call his shot, and you'd be like, "No, you ain't." You hit that fucking B button or whatever to block that shit, and that motherfucker is chewing
Yes.
your face completely off.
Man, I mean, we would be upstairs in our house sweating balls with two fans on, and he'd be cool as a cucumber, man, just beating your ass in these games and telling you about it the entire time. It was
Right.
yeah, I mean, I told you this story when we were talking about this. Like he beat my ass in double dribble so bad one time, man. If I had the heat, I think I would have got it and tried to cap him. Like if I was, he was just embarrassing the shit out of me so bad. It was just awful. And I wasn't still not a great video game player, but like he just took it to me, man, in a way that was just, it was bad.
Right,
It's
right,
laughable now, not laughable at 15, but
right.
very laughable now.
I just, I talking shit during video games is to my
An
analogy,
art.
it's the black experience because that's all I
Yeah,
remember. Because that was right. You talk shit when you're doing the shit in real life usually, and you
right.
talk shit when you're doing it in video games.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
you just gotta you win, you can talk shit. If you lose, you go get shit, and you took it.
You you said there was a story that he was beat some game with like a battery or some shit like that.
There was that Konami track and field,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that
yeah,
track and field game where
yeah.
you
Hmm.
gotta, for the high jump and the runs and all that stuff, you had to do certain things. And I mean, you got to hit the buttons like crazy.
Yeah.
And that mofo pulled out I think it was a 9-volt battery, and he would just go left and right, or he would just take it left and right on the keypad, and that mofo was, I mean, just
Sprinting
20,
niggas.
30 meters in front of
Yeah.
everybody else. We have our little, hey man, I just got, I got the record. I got 7.5 feet.
Yeah.
That mofo will be like 8,
Yeah.
9 feet on the high or the pole vault, and he breaking all your records. He finished and drinking some water, and your character's still on the board running.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It was something. I was saying that he was the first person that I ever seen beat Mike Tyson Punch Out. The first. I had never, we all had our levels or whatever on Punch Out. I got to a certain point. I can't remember the dude I used to lose to all the time, but I never got to Mike Tyson. And then when I finally, he not only got to Mike Tyson, he beat the shit out of Mike Tyson
Right,
in that
right.
game. Like it was like, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't even close. Like, oh, a battle to the end, a decision. No, he knocked him the fuck out. In a very,
Right.
humiliating way for a video game character.
And I don't think back in the day, maybe they did. Maybe it was in some of those magazines or something. I was trying to figure
No
out
cheats.
where he could
Yeah.
have got this knowledge. I mean, did
Yeah, no
he?
cheats.
Oh,
No.
yeah, right, right. I mean, maybe there were some magazines back in the day, Nintendo Power, or some of them
Yeah, yeah,
magazines.
yeah.
I don't know if he might have read them, but it's one thing to read them, it's another thing to do them.
Yeah,
Because
to
I
execute.
read the magazines too, and
Right.
I had the Pac-Man pattern on a book, but I couldn't do it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and that was our, life with him, playing video games and upstairs. And then later on, I know y'all did a lot of the RPG stuff, right? Like after
Oh
that
yeah.
wasn't me, but y'all played RPGs with
Mhm.
him, Newberry, and I think some other folks too, or with Rollins and other folks too.
Sandman, right. Yeah, all of us got together and played a lot of RPGs, role playing games. Um, Battle
This is
Tech.
big action for blurs, by the way. Like I know a lot of y'all black nerds now is like, oh, this ain't a big deal. Like this is in the 80s, early 90s. Like, trust me, this is a big deal. We are your forefathers. Go ahead.
Anyway, yeah, we played Battle Tech. We played well, anyway, we played a lot of games, but the biggest game was Marvel superheroes, and we all love comic books, but that Marvel game and the ability to create characters and just get immersed in that world, we all loved it, but Arron really loved that universe. He loved it maybe almost more than I did, and that's saying something because I ran it.
Right. And y'all had your own team or whatever too, right? Is that part of Force
Yes,
Factor?
if you listen to all the other selections of this
400 some odd
podcast,
podcasts. Go ahead.
organization, yes, we had our own group. We were called Force Factor. No, we were made before that man supplement that came out, that's out now. But yes, we called ourselves Force Factor. We were stationed in our hometown. We were all a bunch of black superheroes. We made our own characters.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, it's like I said, this is, he's a blurred of all blurs, in that situation,
He
and
covered all the blurred things. I mean, but he's got some other special powers and abilities that most people of color and most people now can't fuck with, including myself. He was a father,
right,
at a very early age. Earlier, early late teens, early 20s, perhaps. I don't remember the official numbers, but yes, he was a father and I believe a husband too. Earlier than I would have ever. I'm not either one of those now. So yeah, he was he took on all those abilities.
Right, and responsibilities.
Right.
He talked about his kids when he was over and hanging out with us. Like, this was, he was just like a regular good dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like a regular good dude. Like, I'm not into anime or manga or whatever, but he was into that too. I remember him talking about that as well, like getting tapes of like stuff like from other places. I'm like, oh, okay, like, one of those dudes, getting those, those subs and dubs, for like, Japanese animation. And again, I know you younger folks don't understand this, but like that took work back then. It's like it took work. There ain't literally, you need to know somebody to know somebody.
There ain't no poppy seeds in Harlem. There ain't no sub and dub anime places at West Town.
Exactly. So it was, he's just a regular dude that was just a regular, black nerd, and obviously, he's going to be in our circle because that's what we are. And then we left, essentially, you went off someplace, I graduated and went off someplace, and he wound up staying around. We would only see him if, for summers, if we were home or something like that, and kind of get together. But, if we fast forward a little bit, he had been around like the house or whatever with our mom before. He would still come around. I think there was some weird thing like with his first mom, like his daughter's mom, I think worked with or near our mom or some sort of capacity because our mom knew her. And, he would, she would be starting to tell us like, oh yeah, he's trying to get into wrestling. And, again, another pillar of nerddom, like professional wrestling, but we were into wrestling in the sense that we wanted to like watch wrestling and consume wrestling. No, he was in it that he wanted to be a professional wrestler. And we're like, oh, okay, word. And like, I remember him coming by the house one time, and, our Uncle Bobby was there and like his wife, and they was trying to clown him on like, oh, you know what, this is fake. And he was like, no, it's not fake. And he wasn't kayfabing. He was just, he was saying like, hey, no, the results, are predetermined. But like, this is 90s wrestling, people laying it into each other. You know what I mean? Obviously, as wrestling, there's some cooperation, but people are laying it into each other. And he got into this. There was an Access wrestling show, like on Dayton Access TV, like, and he was the star, essentially.
He
You
was the
know,
star.
he was the star, and shouts out Big Will, he would tip like, yo, I see, I think it was either Aaron Austin at one point or Aaron Action at another point. Seen him on TV. Our mom would record these things. I'd come back from college or whatever, be like, your friend was on wrestling TV or whatever. And, we get these tapes and we would, get a chance to watch him, wrestling and whatnot. And it was like, oh, he really doing it.
Right. There's one, I mean, yeah, he could talk it. And then, lo and behold, he walking it.
Right. I mean, and I'd hear the stories later on, from him or other people. It's like, I guess he had a match against, like, he did something with ECW, had a match with like Tommy Dreamer or something like that. I mean, Tommy Dreamer is a borderline wrestling Hall of Famer,
right.
And this dude went out and wrestled him.
Right.
Like, for real.
Here, I guess in Dayton, but really don't care.
I really don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's like, I would like to, I like to get on the court with, Stefan Edberg or Jim or Michael Chang or anything close to that. I mean, if I could.
Yeah, it's just
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, like, man, you're hearing these things because we're only there part time, date, but you're seeing those types of things, and then like I said, people are in your life for a season, and then they're not, and you just kind of hear about them, here and there or whatever. And, once we started Brothers Comics in 2015 at this point, 16, once we started Brothers Comics and like activated the Facebook page, he was one of the first people on there, and he would jump in, or, we'd have these debates or whatever. I don't think he ever knew if it was me or you posted most of the time, which would be mostly me, because he'd always be like, Hutch, 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 because that's always you, and saying these things or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, he would always jump in. He a very not just opinionated, where some people are opinionated and don't have anything good to say. Like, he had very good things to say, backed up with even though it might not necessarily be what I agree with, backed up with the facts that as he saw them. So he was always a good kind of worthy debate in nerd culture. So
are you looking at the screen?
Yes, if you're on the YouTube now. Yes, that's oh god, what that dude's name? I forgot his name. He just passed away too.
New Jack?
Yeah, it's New Jack, right.
Man.
Yeah, it was New Jack. That's EC Dub.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he went and did it.
Yeah.
He did.
Right.
And so,
it's a leader. And if I was in town and I said the two words, let's play, he was there.
Right.
And he would play, and we would play we could play
night,
all day, all night.
Yes.
Right. Yep. And he would want to play more. And I'm like, dude, I gotta sleep.
Yeah, tap out. Yeah.
Yeah, right. He just and we didn't tell him. Well, the one story that's just amazing on top of everything else. It was the game of the Zelda game.
No, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the Nintendo. And he bought it on Friday at KB Hobby. If there's something still exists. Anyway,
Google it.
Right. He played that game. It's gotta at least be a 40-hour game. He played that game, beat it, and took it back to KB Hobby over the weekend. I mean, just it's got to be a 40-hour game at least.
Easy.
And he beat it like that, took it back. And I think,
no cheats, no codes, no internet.
And I think KB Hobby changed their policy after that, I think. So I mean, he had an amazing ability to do just about everything that I could think of.
Yeah. Like I said, it sucks, really, as people come into your lives for these seasons and then they're not. And as we've gotten older, it gets to the point where it's like, when Will, text me that he had passed, it's like, damn, I just, it's not that I couldn't believe it or anything like that. It's just like, damn, you have to start to reassess, like, oh man, I remember this dude. I remember these memories. I remember all these stories that we're telling on here, about Arron. And it's just like, golly, like you have these people in your lives, for such a short period of time, and you don't get a chance to appreciate like what that time meant for you when you were younger until the person is gone. And that part just sucks. So I mean,
These people are in your life for X amount. First off, your life, my life, our lives are fairly quick.
right,
Because I remember it's 1 minute I'm in high school, the next minute I guess I could have kids in high school.
right,
So it's just pow, pow,
yeah,
pow, and your life is the memories of these things and these things you did with these other people and the things that made you get older and grow and become a better person. And it's just amazing how fast everything goes.
right. And we just want to say, send our condolences to Dorothea, his kids, and his had his son Arron. Like we want to send that out, just our deepest condolences to you. We kind of hope that this, there's going to be all kinds of, reminiscing, I am sure, over the next few weeks, days, and months, about Arron. And I hope that this gives y'all just a little bit of comfort about, maybe stories that y'all hadn't heard before, things about your father or your husband that you hadn't seen, hadn't heard, just to give you a moment of, of joy to, recognize that, he's a good person and he was a good person even as a teenager. And he brought laughter, joy, fun
Pain.
to our lives. Pain, yes. Video game pain for sure. Video game pain
I
to
think.
our
Well,
lives.
I think he put some wrestling moves on some people too. That's some other type of
Yeah.
pain.
Yeah,
Um,
he got all these things to like people at different points in time in his life. And and those times were important to us. We're talking about something that happened almost 30 years ago, and we remember this shit like it was
it was
yesterday.
30 years ago. Yeah, it was,
Right.
right. It
We
was
remember
right.
it.
It
We
is
remember
yesterday.
these things because they were memorable because he was. So,
And another thing, I don't think I ever had a drink with him.
no, yeah.
I don't remember him drinking. I don't
Right.
remember nothing.
Mm,
I don't. But what? Yeah, but yeah, he was a great friend, a great person.
yep.
Um, just amazing, awesome.
Yep.
When we made characters, I mean, everybody else was making offshoots of Avengers,
Hmm.
offshoots of characters that we all knew and grew up with.
Right.
He played himself,
Mm.
and he was awesome.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, like I said, Godspeed, brother. You will be missed. You left an impact on us again 30 plus years ago. And we're feeling that for you. And again, we send our deepest condolences to your family and all of those around you, man. I just want to say Godspeed, brother, for real. And we'll see you on the other side. Hutch, go ahead and sign off.
Yeah, I was Force Factor forever. I'll see you. I'll see you again, brother.
All right. We'll see everybody. God bless. Peace.
Peace.